Alright, so let's take a look at an object that has multiple weapons, and of course the term object and enemy is synonymous in this kit. We use objects as the dictionary name, so I'll try to refer to him as an object. And here he is, he's coming at me, and he's got 3 possible weapons. There's a grenade that just came out, and if I let him just kind of run up on me, you'll probably see another one. There's another grenade. Maybe I'll try to escape by going over here. Now he's throwing a knife at me, and I am dead. Alright, so you get the idea of how that works. Now, previously in the kit, we only had one possible weapon for an enemy, and now that can get up to, well, 3, but with a footnote, unlimited, and I'll explain that in just a moment. Alright, so here's our objects dictionary, and inside of here we have that mech destroyer that we just saw. So now you've got an animation, or you've already previously had an animation fire dictionary that would contain the frames and Atlas file name for the for your firing sequence, your animation. And now I've extended this so that you've also got, let me fold this out here, an animation fire second weapon dictionary, works the same, and animation fire third weapon dictionary. And with all of your animation dictionaries, they need to have this exact name in here for the code to recognize what to do with it. Now, other dictionaries inside of your particular objects dictionary can have names of your own choosing. So I'm going to unfold our weapons and firing dictionary, and this is essentially just kind of a group for all of these related properties, and the group name or the dictionary name here is of my own choosing. So this could have just been weapons, right? But I'll leave it as weapons and firing. And this property should look familiar to you from before. Uses weapon named, and that's our first weapon here, this mech laser. And since you know this, well, this first weapon is always going to go and use the animation fire dictionary, okay? And then you've got your uses weapon how often property, and this is set to a number of 3 seconds. It's going to be also a decimal number if you want it to be, and of course he's going to fire every 3 seconds. And then firing delay, this is an offset value from basically the beginning of the animation. It will delay, say maybe 0.2 or something like that, which would delay firing the weapon, or actually adding the weapon projectile to the stage after the beginning of the animation sequence. And why would you do that? Well, that's because, you know, for some animations, here we'll take a look at this one real quick, there's a little bit of a lead up to the character actually firing or visually seeming to fire the weapon. So it's really more about the 7th frame down here on this particular animation that that you'd want to add in the actual projectile to the stage or the scene. So that's why we have that firing delay, and some of them you don't need a firing delay. All right, so the those are kind of your main 3 properties for firing a weapon. Then we've got identical ones, or nearly identical ones, for the second weapon and the third weapon. So use a second weapon named, that's our grenade. Use a second weapon how often, and you can change the delay time, or you can change how often that one's fired, and then of course you can set your own delay for those as well. And what happens if you create a dictionary with a weapon firing order, I should say actually this is an array type, with a firing order, you can specify the exact sequence that you want them to occur in. So for example, he's going to throw the knife first, then he's going to use his mech laser, then he's going to throw 2 grenades, this one and this one, then he's going to throw the knife twice. So what will happen here is the uses weapon how often just basically becomes a delay between these the order of the weapons here. So it would be, you know, he's going to wait 3 seconds, and then for the mech laser he's going to wait 5, and then between grenading he's going to wait 1 second, and so on like that. And you can kind of create an unlimited array of items in here, or you can just delete this entirely. You don't have to use that. Or not create it at all, and in which case the kit's going to go, well, there's no specific order I should use these in, so I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. So it'll just go, and it'll loop through the first weapon, second weapon, third weapon, first weapon, second, and so on like that. And then you can also do some fun things by randomizing the weapon. So this is just set to no right now, but if this was set to yes, what would happen let's assume actually that this is not in here again. What would happen is it's just going to pull from the weapons that you've you're using, and randomly put them on there. But you can also combine this weapon firing order array, okay, with the randomized weapons. And so if you had knife in here, 10 times, then the knife is going to get used randomly more often. Okay, this creates like a random pool. So you would rarely ever see the mech laser or the grenade in this case, because he's got kind of more bingo chips in there for throwing his knife. And what else do we need to talk about here? Well, this is an old property. Use radius for firing. That's set to yes, and then radius distance to scan. That's set to 400. So when the character gets within 400 points of the character, that's when he starts firing at him. Otherwise, he would be using his animation idle sequence right here, which is idling. And now, I put a little footnote in here that you've got 3 weapons now to choose from, but it's also possibly unlimited. Well, why is that? Because inside of your weapon firing order array, you can actually put in here any of your possible weapons to use. And of course, all of our weapons are defined in an entirely separate dictionary. They're not defined on a per object basis. So we've been picking on the grenade, the knife, and that mech laser so far, but I could actually use any of these weapons that I've got in here inside of that array. And if it's not one of these ones that we set up over here, what the kit's going to do is it's going to go, well, I'll just use the base animation fire sequence to launch that particular weapon, and it will also use your base fire, your kind of default firing delay, and your default uses weapon how often. Okay, so if it can't find one of these other ones that specifically has their own animation fire sequence, just goes with the defaults. So that gives you actually the option to put in any weapon inside of here and use it. So now that you know all that, you can set up some objects that I think are better for a boss level, something like that, where you kind of you have to figure out what the pattern is of the enemy, or it's just kind of one of those enemy objects that goes ballistic on you. You don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, that's how that works. And before I leave you, I should mention that over here in your common properties.plist, which of course doesn't actually get compiled into the kit, it's just there for reference, you can find under levels, level 0, objects, you can find an example enemy that has those 3 weapons in there. So if you want to just copy and paste from basically the same properties you already just saw, you can do that. And anytime I create something new, what I try to do is put it inside of this objects folder and give it a generic name, so that you can kind of look through here and go, oh, look at that moving platform, or Space Invader type enemy. Okay, that's it now.